Hello and welcome to Smitty's. I am a wood cutting fanatic who loves to run a chainsaw. I run alcohol chainsaws, ported chainsaws, I race chainsaws, and I even run the occasional vintage. Now remember, I cannot do this without you. You're everything to the channel, so please remember, subscribe, give that thumbs up, leave that comment. Today, we are going to have a lot of fun. How you doing? So this is probably going to be the last video I put out on the 55 for Bodie's contest before his actual contest. Everything else, you're just going to have to wait until after his contest to see it. There's going to be a lot of videos. I think we're sitting at like 7 videos at this time, and there's going to be more. That's because I ran into some problems. I had to do some troubleshooting, but throughout the video series, you're going to get to see the performance level of the saw just continuously increase and get better and better and better until we get to this point today. So the last video I made on that saw was like an oh crap moment. And I was rushing and coming up with trying to find a solution and everything. Well, today I'm actually working on the solution. So I figured, you know what, let's go ahead and put this video together for you because the saw is toast. So, yeah, and we're going to move on from that point because I'm not quitting. I'm going to keep pushing on. So, yeah. So what I ended up here with is a situation where I needed a top end to rebuild the saw. And I have like 10 days to finish this project, get it done, and get it shipped out. It's we're down to the wire, you know what I mean? This thing just a week ago was screaming, running excellent. I mean, I completely pleased with the way it was performing. It was running the bar at full length, full deep, pulling the RPM. I could even pull on it and it would hardly touch those RPM. It had torque for days. You know what I mean? And you're gonna get to see all of this on this video series that's coming after, you know, the contest. Now, he probably won't release video footage of the contest until after I start releasing. I'm just waiting until the day after his contest to start releasing the videos. So you're going to get to see all the port work, all the numbers, every detail. But of course, those details are changing. This is kind of like a spoiler moment because I'm rebuilding the saw right now. But the problem is I ran into is, you know, I needed a top end. So the day I pulled that cylinder off, I ordered a new top end. It's not here yet. Probably going to be a couple days till it gets here, but I had another option. And in fact, you guys haven't seen this saw running yet. So this is kind of like a sneak preview of this saw. And here I am tearing it down. So I built the Craftsman using a 55 top end. I'm stealing the top end off of the 55 or off the Craftsman to put on this saw. The reason is because the Craftsman ran great in the wood and everything. It was much better than stock, but it wasn't at the level that I wanted it at. And I was going to be pulling the top end off anyway, so I figured why not just steal this top end, see if I can get it to work on the other one, or the 55 for Bodie's contest, and then the new top end that comes in, I'll just build it for the Craftsman. This is going to speed me up by days because, you know, it'd be like Tuesday till I get that top end. Probably wouldn't get to work on it until that weekend, which would give me literally like one night to build the saw, get it back up and running so that I could go spend the next day or two getting it broken, ran in, and hopefully no issues pop up and then ship it out. You know what I mean? This is going to advance me by almost a week to take this route. But I was looking at it here. See, I pulled the top end off the Craftsman and I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the wash pattern really. And it's kind of interesting wash pattern. And I thought I figured I'd share it with you. Because, you know, I have ran this saw in wood. You just haven't seen it yet. See, whenever I make videos, I usually make a few videos in one day and then I release them as, you know, whenever. Some weeks I don't get the chance to make a video, and you know, I'll try to keep a couple of kind of random videos in the stockpile just to release to help, keep things rolling along. Just kind of saving up like an inventory of stuff that I can put out. But then projects like this happen and it's going to throw you off the timeline. So if you haven't seen this saw cutting in wood, and here I'm tearing it down, pulling the top end off of it. But anyway, here we go. Let me show you the wash pattern. And I just, it's one of those moments. I'm doing this and we're down to the wire. So I'm going to try to get this 55 rebuilt and up and running here tonight. I'm hoping to get it running tonight. I just got to do the machine work to get it to work. The problem is the numbers that I ported on this cylinder are different. And after the machine work, it's going to screw with things. Like the intake's going to go too far or might go too far. There's certain things that's might get screwed up. So hopefully it works out and I get my performance back. But even if I don't, at least if it's running somewhat decent, it's running somewhat decent. It's better than not running at all. You know what I mean? At least you'll get to see footage of the saw, the way it was performing before it ate itself. You know what I mean? At least it's documented that you'll get to see it. But here it is. Let me show you the wash pattern here of what my port work looks like. And I don't know, I think it's kind of interesting. So here you go. So there she is, and I'm sure as many of you have already noticed, the spark plug appears to have been making contact with the piston. And if you've never seen that before, that's what it looks like. Right there at the piston, she was hitting her. But look at the wash pattern. You can see the flow. You can visually see how the flow was by looking at that wash pattern. And that comes from, the way I poured it. I poured it for the flow mostly. I don't think about the numbers as much as I think about flow. You know what I mean? So if you flow it really well, you can actually get more RPM out of a lower roof. You know what I mean? And, now the oil I use is that Klotz Super Techniplate. So, that's Klotz Super Techniplate with a somewhat on the rich side tune. This was literally the first cuts of this saw in the wood, so, we had to keep her somewhat rich, and that's what she looks like. I thought it was interesting. You can literally see here at the exhaust port how the flow was coming out. Now that little dimple in the piston, that tells me I need to space the spark plug a little bit further, but yeah. I can tell you for certain though, one important thing. Let me explain. Now I did notice one thing, a similar port job on this saw that I do on a 55 does not perform to the same level. This does not pick up as well. So this one's probably going to take a little more extreme measures on the port work to get the performance up to where I want it. But at least I know now that I need to do a little bit more work in specific areas to bring the performance up. I shouldn't say extreme measures. I have to adjust where I time things. I think what it is, I think this saw might have a larger volume in the crankcase from like where the cylinder meets the crankcase, down where the actual crankshaft is. I think this saw might actually have just a slightly larger volume, which affected the performance differently on this saw with a similar port job. So I need to take that into accountability on, whenever I put the other top end on. But yeah, I'm taking this piston and cylinder off right now, and I'm going to be chucking it up in the lathe and getting it all put together on the 55 and making some test cuts out of it. But I figured I'd give you guys this little update on the project. You have already seen footage. I've posted some cutting footage on it and shorts, but never really showing you exactly what saw I was running. So there's two cutting examples in particular. I showed one where all you saw was a bar and it said Husqvarna on it. And then I showed another short where all you saw was the tack, and that thing ran excellent. But let me see if I can get her back to that performance level. It may not happen just because of how I had to adjust the numbers for the Craftsman and moving it to the 55. Things may not work out in my favor. So, we'll see how it is. But I figured I'd give you just this little update on the 55 project we're sending to Bodie's. We've ran into some issues. I had timing issues where the timing advance was wrong. I had lost a coil. There were issues that I had to, figure out and solve the whole way through the process. Compression was too high. I actually ran into an issue where the compression was too high. And even though I raised it 3 degrees, it only dropped 2 pounds. So I need to take that into consideration with this. You know what I mean? There's a lot to consider. So there's a whole lot of stuff you guys are going to see. But the nice thing is, I've already got a good idea of where I need to put these numbers and where to get it to perform exactly the way I want it to. You know what I mean? I did some experimenting. I tried. Now I have a much better idea of where I want to put everything, all my numbers and everything. So the question is whether or not I've done too much work to the cylinder to get it to work on the Craftsman to see if I can get it to work on the 55. So that's where I'm headed tonight. And instead of sitting here jabbering and making a video, I'm going to get to work. So stick around. All the videos, all the reveals are going to be after Bodie's contest. I'm going to start to reveal. I think his contest he's doing everything on the 15th, the Saturday. That Sunday, I'm going to start dropping the videos. I don't know if I'm going to drop one every day or every other day. Probably continue with the same schedule, though. Probably do a video Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So you get 4 videos in a week, and you're probably going to look at nothing but that project for a week or possibly 2 till we get done. Because I think I got 7 videos on it already. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. We're going to have a lot of fun. And, hey, we'll catch you in the next one. Later.
Uh-huh.